Hey everyone, for today's video, I want to do a brief overview of the quality of life options available to the warrior on the passive tree. As with other videos, we're going to go from the starting node, kind of progressing outward, see where you have the option of taking quality of life instead of damage or defenses, and how that affects your character. When it comes to quality of life options, there's not as many as attack and defense on the tree, but overall these are some of the strongest nodes that the community at least respects. So we're talking about movement speed, we're talking about area of effect. I am going to cover some ailment threshold and stun threshold, although those might be more defensive. I just didn't really cover them in the defense video. But to me, quality of life means making the builds and like how you play the game actually feel a lot better. So in that way, not getting stunned to me is like very quality of life. Also in the defensive video, some of the nodes that we were already going to take have it baked in. So right now I don't think the warrior class has any trouble getting stun threshold at the moment. But yeah, let's get into it. So immediately on your normal path, if we're looking offensively or defensively, you have access to two types of new stats. One is increased area of effect for attacks. This is going to increase the size of most of your attacks. And it's, again, an increase. I think there are maybe some options for more area of effect through support gems, but on the tree, I believe most of it is just increased. Down here, if you're going the defensive side, you are also introduced to stun threshold, which may be good in the early game, but like that might be it. Eventually, you just get to a point where you are not getting stunned as a warrior. If we continue down here to this jewel socket, all of these notables are mostly attack and defense, except this small wheel. So this is area of effect for attacks, as well as increased area of effect for aftershocks specifically. So if you're going some kind of slam build with a bunch of aftershocks, this is a massive increase in area of effect of those aftershocks. If you're going two-hander as well, there's another 25% increased area of effect if you've stunned enemies recently, which if you're in maps and you're just hitting normal mobs, they're constantly getting stunned. So again, another massive increase in AoE. If you go up from here, there's going to be another similar kind of conditional area of effect node with breaking blows. These three notables are just melee attack damage straight up. So this is like an okay option for you to choose. But we're now also introduced to slowing potency of debuffs on you is reduced. This wheel over here scales up to 40%. So if you take these 3 points, you're going to lessen the effect of like chill, the temporal curse on you, temporal bubbles, I believe, all of the stuff that like slows you down. This is going to lessen that effect. So when we're talking about like quality of life and making your character feel better to play, this is a big deal in my opinion. There's a bunch of it on the tree. If we come back over here to this block notable, you can get 15% from this block notable. And as we progress further, we can maybe get it up to 100% just from passive nodes. Once again, continuing up, we're going to go back to Behemoth. So this wheel has area of effect on it. If you take the bottom route, this one is just area attack damage. And then it also has Behemoth with the extra, just overall Behemoth is so strong, you're probably going to take it regardless of if you want the area of effect or not. But yeah, again, overall, really strong wheel to take. We're introduced to this concept of stun buildup, which is something else that I haven't really covered. Stun buildup is kind of quality of life-esque, right? If you're looking to stun bosses really fast, stun buildup does matter. But then we're also three notables here that are pretty interesting. You wouldn't always choose them for every build, but they do have some interesting mechanics. So break 50% of armor on heavy stunning an enemy. Shattering blow is pretty unique in that if you get this, and then you increase, say with a node like this where it says break 25% increased armor, you can stack this to the point where anytime you heavy stun a rare or unique, you instantly break their armor without any other mechanics involved. In 0.1 and 0.2, this was one of the best ways in order to break armor. I feel like in 0.3 and with certain setups, you can actually just have Windbreaker break most enemies' armor in the map, so you don't even really need to use Shattering Blow. If you don't want to use Armor Breaker, if you don't want to have the suffix on your weapon that breaks armor, if you don't want to go Warbringer to break armor, whatever, Shattering Blow is just one option you can do that is pretty helpful in mapping. And then if you get enough break armor, which you know, that affix can appear on jewels. It appears a lot on the tree. You can stack it to the point where, yeah, you just don't even have to worry about it anymore. Continuing up, we're going to hit a massive area of effect wheel, as well as just one node for stun buildup and area attack damage. Again, really close to where you normally path, really strong nodes. If we go up just a little bit more, you're going to see increased armor broken, basically. So if you take this entire wheel in combination with Shattering Blow, then anytime you stun somebody, it's going to instantly break all their armor. I probably wouldn't take this. This is 6 nodes in order to get that effect, where you can kind of get 25% here. You can get, I think, 40% down here, as well as the increase in damage from pylon. So, like, although this wheel is an option, probably wouldn't suggest it. As we kind of get out of the 1/6 part of the tree, heading up into Strength Int, there is a new set of nodes that are for area of effect, leading into a fissure skills. Has a 25% chance to create an additional fissure. If you just want the area of effect, you don't have to take this, and then you can continue upwards and grab these nodes up here, which again, area of effect into area of effect if you've killed recently. So you can really see how many nodes on the tree are devoted to area of effect, on top of the fact that most of them increase damage as well. I think GGG is pushing heavily on this idea that if you want, if you want to be able to scale abilities to just chunk the whole screen, you're always going to have that option. Just what the trade-off has to be either less damage or less survivability. Let's come back down and path to the left. Again, this wheel is some quality of life. There's armor break duration, so if you're tired of reapplying armor break, you can pick that up, as well as enemies cannot regen life, or they're also maimed. Maim is a slow. So basically anytime they're fully armor broken, they can't regen their life and they're slowed. So like this wheel, again, on top of the fact that this is a damage increase, you have options here for break armor and quality of life. This wheel we covered in offensive, but it is, again, AoE. So 4% AoE going all the way up into a 30% increased AoE for ancestral boosted attacks. If you're using ancestral boosted and you want more AoE, take these points. Continue up on the left side. This is going to be a stun buildup into a stun threshold, as well as just kind of a max strength. So percentage increased strength is really strong. It's basically percentage increased life, as well as just helping you get to whatever strength cutoffs you need. And then again, stun buildup is something that you might not realize is handy, but once you get enough of it, boss fights become a joke. I should have talked about this more in the damage video, but these are technically quality of life nodes for Warcries. When you Warcry, you need enemies around you to gain like a certain amount of power in order to affect how many attacks that they empower. This just sets a minimum threshold, so you don't really have to worry about that as much. You can just Warcry wherever you are. And then this one just makes it so that there's a chance for you to empower multiple attacks. So these are very quality of life heavy for Warcries. If you're going empowered, etc., definitely look into Roaring Cries and Inherited Strength. And then if we keep going up, we actually get to one of the most interesting new wheels that GGG added, which is Area of Effect into Tribal Fury. So Tribal Fury used to exist in 0.1 and 2 only as an affix on the Fnatic Great Hammer. There's like a set of 3 maces that you can get through the campaign that have this effect on it. So anytime you auto attack, it was going to increase this, do this like aftershock in kind of like an AoE around the character that you hit. How it was working was it was applying area of effect twice, so it was scaling much larger than it should have, and your auto attacks could clear entire screens. You can still do that with certain setups, but Tribal Fury just lets you use this on any setup at any time as long as you path over to it. So I actually tried this out during campaign on 0.3 launch, and if you don't want to use an ability for clearing enemies as opposed to like boss killing, you can just take these 4 points and then use your auto attack, and it mostly chunks. It'll easily clear the normal monsters. It'll start chunking magic monsters, and then it's not going to take care of rares for you, but you can just use another skill for that. So if you haven't tried it out, give it a go. It's definitely better if you have more area of effect on the tree elsewhere. Like if you just take these 4 points, it's not going to be anything like life-changing for you. But if you have a bunch of area of effect, if you slot in the magnified area support gem on your auto attack, it will be noticeable. Like you'll auto attack the guy in front of you and it's going to clear most of the guys around it. If we continue moving down, there isn't too much throughout this zone. There's a lot of stuff with the glory, which I haven't really looked into. I'm assuming this would be really strong with Tactician. There's a bit related to maybe not requiring like a stun for Ancestral Cry or Hammer of the Gods, but not too certain on that myself. This zone is kind of devoid of quality of life stuff. Technically, you might think some of the Jagged Ground stuff could be quality of life, where Jagged Ground is a slow kind of debuff that you apply on the ground, so maybe slowing monsters, but not too many builds are like focusing on that as opposed to just killing things outright. But if you continue down to the bottom of the tree, there is another area of effect wheel. So area of effect with attacks, we have area of effect and cooldown recovery rate. That's another stat I should put up. So cooldown recovery rate is for skills that have a cooldown. You can give any skill a cooldown if you want with like Hourglass support, I think. And overall, like for the warrior, I don't think this matters as much for other classes. We've got, again, a bit more armor break. If we move up a bit here, we're going to see more slowing potency of debuffs on you. This is going to go up to, I think, 20% from these 3 nodes, as well as getting you attack speed. So if you take these 3 nodes and then these 3, you're already up to 60%. This one will get you up to 75%. And then if you want to clear it on the tree, there's this wheel above. I wouldn't necessarily recommend pathing up here unless you wanted reduced skill duration for other skills like Earthquake. But if you took these 3 wheels, this one, and this one, you would be at 100% reduced. So chill wouldn't be an issue. Temporal wouldn't be an issue. Maim wouldn't be an issue. It'll help a lot with your mental if you're really sick of getting slowed throughout your maps. If we continue up from this wheel, we hit on what the community considers some of the most important stuff. Looks like we also have more slow in potency, actually, I'm seeing. So you don't even need to take this wheel up here with the reduced. You can just take this wheel instead. That leads to momentum. So you might not realize it, but baked into the armor that you wear is a movement speed penalty, and this just removes it. So if you're wearing strength-based armor, this is going to give you way more attack speed, or way more move speed on your character, as well as just movement speed nodes being right here as well. Immune to Hinder and immune to Maim are really strong. I think Hinder is just the spell equivalent of Maim, so both those things will slow your character. If you take this, no slows. This was introduced in 0.3, and it skyrocketed the value of the unique jewel that could let you path from Vol Pact. Anywhere on the tree, if you have that unique jewel plugged in, you could just path to these nodes and get a bunch of move speed for free. If we keep moving up here, you're going to hit a stun threshold node again. This one, I don't take it in 0.3, but before this was pretty important. So if you have like 500 strength and you just take hefty unit, you're never going to get stunned really. It gives you so much stun thresholds, and then in combination with unbending, where you just get 100% increased stun threshold for every time you've been hit up to like 100%. Because you're constantly getting hit, you just have so much that it's just not going to be a problem. I didn't come down from this jewel, and there's a bit of stun threshold as well as elemental ailment threshold here on the tree. Just an alternate pathing if you don't want to take any of the block or accuracy nodes here as you make your way down. We're also seeing here for the first time actually endurance charge generation. This won't get you a lot. Just anytime you heavy stun a rare, you're going to get 1. It does include some stun buildup. So again, if you're curious for, how stun buildup affects how easy it is to actually stun stuff, there's a ton of it on the tree that you can take a look at. As we continue going right, we are going to see more movement speed nodes. So it's movement speed if you've killed recently, which while you're mapping, that's basically going to always be on, so it's going to be a lot of move speed as well as a bit of attack speed. In past leagues, this is one of the most interesting notables that I've seen people talk about, and there's certain setups where if you just block a bunch, you get an insane amount of move speed from it, but it's swift blocking. So it's 1% move speed each time you've blocked in the past 10 seconds. I think that's like a rolling number, so basically if you're just constantly taking hits, you just kind of have like a flat movement speed bonus. It is really strong if you can get to it. The path to it is pretty far away. It's something you might want to anoint if you're like looking at just trying to anoint quality of life. But yeah, test this one out. If you haven't tried it, it's really interesting. There's certain mobs that like, I think they even the like laser beam mobs from Abyss, I'm guessing that's like a damage that hits a bunch. There were sun fire like laser beams that in the past, if you blocked all those hits, all of a sudden you were running like 50% faster or something. So try it out. Just to me, that's kind of what the whole point of these videos is. I'm just trying to show you options, let you know that they exist in the game, and like, hey, give it a go, just see how it feels. Another new wheel that I maybe talked about in the defensive video is crystallized immunities. Immune to chill, ignite, or shock based on the amount of like the majority of your socketed support gems. Technically, you could put in, if you really cared about like being immune to chill, you could put in 2 kind of lame abilities, like 6 socket in your build that you might not even use, and then just put in as many blue gems as possible. You are going to need a good amount of ints in order to like clear all your other gems, so it's probably not going to be feasible on Warrior, but that is like maybe there's an option there. Honestly, the green one is maybe more doable. Having dexterity is something that you can get up, and then you already are running dexterity nodes when we're talking about attack speed. So there is maybe a world where you can become shock immune, which would be really, really strong. I didn't actually think about it until right now. I might look to go for this on certain characters. Then we make it to the attribute wheel. So if you need attributes, you have to get to the bottom of the tree here. All of this is just all attributes plus scaling attributes, but the quality of life that these nodes give you is actually kind of neat. So it's equipment and skill gems have reduced attribute requirement. There are 3 of them, taking it up to 12%. If you have Giant's Blood, or if you're trying to do hybrid gear, this is one way to make it easier for you to hit those attribute requirement benchmarks. So just be aware of this. Again, cooldown is weird for Warrior, but there's another just 20% you can get right here real quick. This was more important when Hammer of the Gods was on a cooldown, but they shifted it to the glory system, so not as important these days. If you come back to the start of the tree and then path down towards Mercenary, if you're maybe going the more hybrid route, there is more area of effect here. You can take these 4 points for area of effect as well as damage. Something that I didn't realize was available on the tree is actually reduced effect of curses on you. So this is 5%, 15, 25, 30. This is straight up 55% reduced effect of curses on you. That if you're going hybrid, you can pick up for 4 points, which is really strong if you care about map mods. This can almost completely get, like, I think there's a single soul core that you could put in a body armor that in combination with this would make you essentially immune to those curses in maps. Again, we're also introduced to break increased armor percentage, basically. So you have to deal less damage in order to break the armor. This wheel also gives you damage, so overall, what, 80% here, 90%? So this in combination with Shattering Blow, right, you're going to instantly break everybody's armor. One thing I haven't talked about is mana and like your ability usage and like how difficult it is to sustain that. Right off the bat, from the start, you can actually take points in mana cost or converted to life costs, as well as cost efficiency. So you can take these nodes if you want to like start moving towards spending more life instead of mana for using your skills. But when you are looking at that, the real big option here is further down on the tree. You can go, you can path up here, you can path through Prism Guard, but it's blood magic. You have no mana. All of your skills cost life. So blood magic was really strong in 0.2. It's still really strong of an option. You could also just path up the left side of the tree here, get the jewel, and then grab it real quick. So if you don't really want to worry about, oh, my mana regen, my mana leech, all that shit, just take blood magic. You do have to have more regen, right? But most of your skills aren't going to cost a lot of life. The only ones that will is if you juice it up with like support gems that scale the cost with like more multipliers, then it can get out of hand. But normally blood magic is really strong quality of life if you don't want to care about that whole you know, mana cost, mana efficiency, all that stuff. While we're here, we also are introduced to increased skill effect duration. So this would affect something like scavenged plating. I think this has the opposite effect for something like time of need. So you'd rather have reduced on time of need than increased. But it's just a trade-off. You got to figure out what you want. If you want reduced, reduces right here as well. This is increased down here. So you can kind of juggle whatever you want based on what build you're running and what skills you're using. I think that mostly covers kind of like the overview. I'm now going to go through and highlight each stat. So if we look at area of effect, you're going to see how much of it is on the tree. There's so much available to the warrior. If we take the normal pathing up here, let's go here. Let's grab these 4. Let's come down here, grab this. Grab that if you want. Come around this side. Up there. We can keep going up here. We're not going to take those 3 nodes down there. Maybe we'll get Ancestral boosted. We will path down here. And what I'm doing right now is we're going to at least calculate it out by the end of this and just see how much we end up with just based on all the nodes we just took, which the pathing mostly takes care of. Like there's a lot of pathing to get to these nodes. A lot of these nodes have damage built in. And if you don't want to like spec into, you know, the reduced attack speed on these nodes or something, instead of going for like more attack damage, you can go for less, but more increased area of effect. So given that we've taken all of these area of effect nodes, how does that actually change the area of effect of our skills? Well, let's take a look. If we go to the Calcs tab in POB and we look at our current Earthquake, you can go to the skill type specific stats, see the area of effect mod that we have. So it's a 2.7 multiplier, as well as visualize the radius based on our character. So right now it's showing this massive, looks like, I think that's out to 50 meters. I think PoE does it in meters. Or sorry, 50 feet. This is showing 5 meters. Anyways, you can just see a visual. You don't need to care about the fucking numbers. You just see it. It's there. If I take all the nodes off on the tree, Earthquake is going to be much smaller visually, going down from 50 to 30 in this visual. So although you might be thinking it was like a 2.7x or whatever, why didn't it more than double? I believe it's because it's the actual area, not necessarily just the distance. It's more related to math that I don't want to get into, but it's the reason why when you get like a pizza that's like larger in size or whatever, it's actually way more food than you're realizing. Anyways, again, really strong. If I pair that with the support gem magnified area, this is a increase now. Okay, before it was a more. So now if we take a look, that's not actually going to do too much more. It's going to push it out past the 50. But in the past, if you had a more multiplier, it would just massively increase the area of effect. But if you're looking at quality of life, area of effect is like, I would say number 1, maybe 1A, 1B with movement speed once you get into the PoE mapping experience. So just be aware of all these nodes on the tree, where they are in relation to where your pathing is and which ones you want to take. Most likely you're going to be taking this wheel, these for sure. These are pretty easy. This one as well. And then the more niche ones are going to be this wheel over here if you're not going hybrid. These points up here if you're not going blood magic. These if you're not going ancestral. And then these 4 are pretty common because most builds path down here too. So just beware. Up next we're going to highlight move speed. It is the one thing that I believe we've looked at before and just shown how much more you see on other sides of the tree. But for warrior, you've got one option really, which is pathing down here, taking these 4 nodes and then these 3 to get the armor penalty removed. Pathing over here, getting another 10%, and then anointing or pathing to swift block. You can keep going. I believe there's some down here. I don't think you'd ever path over here, but in, you know, late campaign, like early maps, you can just kind of anoint whatever like cheapo mods you want on gear. And then one of the new notables, so I didn't actually talk about this, but it comes with move speed. So maximum life and move speed, as long as you have 10 green support gems socketed. This is one that you can definitely kind of cheat your way into. Just add a skill, add 5 dex support gems to it, and you should be good to go. Overall, the warrior doesn't have too many options on the tree for movement speed, but you can make up for that at least in 0.3 by just getting 60% move speed boots. They're probably super expensive at this point. If you don't want to go that route, you can get, 50% pretty easily. So that'd just be 2 sockets. Maybe even 55% for 2 sockets. I didn't even think about that till right now, but yeah, it's not as nearly as bad as it was in 0.1, 0.2. Warriors can move fairly quick, especially with sprints. If you take these nodes, and the pathing wouldn't look like this, you'd probably come down left, come down to the bottom, and then path up from here. When we're talking about stun thresholds, you do see some points at the start here. You'd most likely skip all of those. Let's come around to here. Polished iron is something else that I didn't even talk about. You get stun thresholds, like the flat value based on your armor, as well as unbending. So most of the time I'm thinking that unbending is going to be good enough. If you feel like you're getting stunned a lot, hefty unit will make it like a non-issue, right? You're going to have so much strength that like this will just put your stun thresholds way past the point of you needing to focus on it. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about this unless you're really getting stunned a lot, which you shouldn't be. So ailment threshold on the tree is pretty sparse. It's just this notable, as well as a few points over here that scale with dex. So maybe not the best for warrior. More likely for you, you're just scaling, damage reduction so that the initial hit does less damage, therefore making it so that whatever ailment you get hit by is just less effective. Next up is slowing potency. So this one we've looked at extensively. Again, the pathing is most likely going to look something like this. Take these 3, come over here, take these 3, down here, take these 3 with the attack speed, and then probably down here through here, grab these. And I think this gets you 100%, right? 15, this is 40, so 55. This is 20, so we're at 75. And then another 25, 75 plus 25, 100%. So if you take this set, which again is very close to your normal pathing, you're going to be 100% reduced effect of slows on you, essentially. Really strong quality of life. Would recommend going this route in the late game, or maybe if you're playing hardcore and you really get stressed out by slows. But if you don't need damage, like these nodes on the tree are just huge. They're nearby, and some of them include damage. So in my opinion, there's really no downside to doing this. Pull up reduce skill effect duration. So this would be strong for something like Earthquake and Time of Need. There's only one real node here. One real wheel that's kind of close by. Something else you might anoint is Forthcoming. So it's reduced skill effect duration and increased cooldown recovery. You can anoint near at hand, but again, this uses an isolation that's really expensive. This doesn't. Suffering, I think, is pretty expensive though. Down at the bottom of the tree, I don't think we're going to see any. So it's just this notable. If you're talking reduced, this is for Earthquake, Time of Need. If we want to look at increased, there's more here. That's for something like Scavenged Plating. I can't remember. I think that helps with the charge regulation as well. There's 3 up here. There's 3 down here. Moving on to so the immunity. So once again, there's a single node here. Crystallized immunities, potentially getting you immune to shock, which again is kind of defensive, but still really strong. And then less likely is the immunity to chill from this node. And then finally, we'll take a look at cooldown reduction, which not as important for warriors right now. A lot of skills got moved off of the cooldown system. But it's, yeah, exactly. So this is probably more for grenade builds. If you come over here to the hybrid underneath mercenary, there's a few. Down here, this is specific for grenades. Further down, cooldown, you got cooldown. And then down here, this is for war cries. So Maybe the thing that I'm overlooking for Warrior is cooldown reduction in conjunction with Warcries. So that might be the reason why you might go some of this path. But again, cooldown recovery rate for Warcry specifically is also a stat that straight down super common pathing. You can grab these if you want. So yeah, that's going to do it for the quality of life overview, as well as I think the kind of general warrior passive tree overview set of videos that I'm going to be doing. Already in some of the other videos, people in the comments have been explaining mechanics that I either glossed over or just completely didn't know. So take a look at the comments. There's a lot of really good people that are leaving, positive notes, which is awesome. I'm going to try to focus on those as I move forward. I also, as I go through and do these videos, one, I want to know what I'm talking about mostly, but two, I kind of want to actually do the things. So when I'm talking about the tree or the pathing for all of those area of effect nodes, specifically this league, it's because I literally at some point, I believe on stream, ripped every single damage node off, maybe even every defensive node off outside of the surround nodes, and put them all into area of effect. And then I just ran a map. And then I realized, like, wait, I can just run every map with this, right? So progressively over time, I took my character that I focused on scaling attack and defenses, and then I eventually got to the point where it was too strong, and I started peeling back the attack and defensive layers and pushing up the quality of life layers. I've moved away from movement speed for warrior in particular. Like, you can move back and forth. It's just harder to the pathing, it requires like way more nodes than you'd like, as opposed to some of the other options. Although looking at it, I mean, if you're taking this wheel and surround, like, the movement speed's right there. So maybe I'll look to just adding it back in, but I haven't been playing much softcore, which this is where you'd focus on it when you're talking about hardcore. Movement speed does help, but you'd much rather go defenses as opposed to quality of life. If we pulled up the Pee-wee Ninja heat map for quality of life, it's going to be, we're going to see the same thing as before. It's not going to be too much of an insight as opposed to some of the other, when we're talking offense and softcore or defense and hardcore notables. So yeah, I think we're just going to call it here. I initially thought of doing a skill gem video for today's video, but as I was doing it, it looked to be way more work, and like, I want to do it in a different way that I didn't feel like I was doing it justice. So we ended up going for the quality of life overview. When it comes to what I'm looking at targeting next, again, I do want to cover skill gems, support gems, but that by itself as a topic is massive. It's going to take a lot of work, so maybe I'll break it down. I'm not really sure. So that's going to do it. Again, leave any comments if you have any quality of life kind of tweaks that you haven't talked about, that I haven't talked about on the passive tree. I guess Leech could maybe be one. So Voracious Greed, like 20% of Leech is instant. Like, this is actually really strong. I didn't really talk about it in the defensive video. But that idea that you can have Leech ticking all the time, but also have a portion of it be instant is insane. It is kind of out of the way if you're not going hybrid, but it is still really strong. So maybe look at that if you're, you want some quality of life on your Leech. But that's going to do it for this video. Again, if you like the content, like, subscribe. I'm trying to figure this out. I need to balance coming up with topics that I feel like are valuable, as well as pushing out content weekly. And at the moment on the streams, we're just running through and learning new mechanics. So this week I put in a lot of time into the Warbringer, and I learned a lot about Shockwave Totem as well as Shield Wall. In the future, I'll continue to do that, hopefully learning more and more about each class, each spec, each ascendancy, to the point where I can explain it better to all of you. So anyways, like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.